And we're back with an NBC News exclusive. First to us, and Andrea Mitchell reports, according to the campaign, since yesterday's announcement that Governor Tim Walz would be Kamala Harris's running mate, the Harris-Walz campaign has now raised more than $36 million. And joining me now is Democratic Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who, of course, is on the Harris-Walz Campaign Advisory Board. So, that's good news for the campaign. They had a very good launch yesterday. Until yesterday, though, many people in the country didn't know Governor Tim Walz, according to all the polling. How does he break through?
Well, it's great news, and I think that number of 36 million goes to show the level of energy that we're seeing around the country. And remember, much of that are small dollar donors. Much of that are first-time donors. And the thing that we know about a person, whether they give $5 or whether they give $500, is that person is probably a voter now. And so we're watching this level of energy, these new signups of volunteers, which has been incredibly encouraging. And I think the thing that you're seeing is as people continue to learn more about my friend Tim Walz, the more excited and impressed they are. This is a person who is a military veteran who went on to become a high school football coach, who went on to run for Congress, and then and now is a successful governor of Minnesota. And the thing that you see, the thread amongst Tim Walz throughout all that, is public service. This is a person who believes deeply in this country. He believes deeply in the people of this country. And now that he's raising his hand to serve as vice president of the United States in a Harris-Walz administration, I think the level of excitement we're seeing is something that truly correlates to people continuing to learn more about who Tim Walz is.
Governor, I want to give you a chance to respond to something that J.D. Vance said. He's attacking Tim Walz's military service today. Let's listen.
Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not.
So, you're given your record as a veteran. Why don't you respond to that? He was a sergeant major, the highest level enlisted man.
I'm a very proud veteran of this country, having served with the 82nd Airborne Division, and I also know that that anybody who is willing to raise their hand to put on the uniform of this country, especially when you consider such a small percentage of our population has ever done that, they deserve our utmost respect. That includes J.D. Vance, Corporal J.D. Vance, and that includes Sergeant Major Tim Walz. And I think J.D. Vance knows, as being a corporal, that you don't get to Sergeant Major just because. You get to Sergeant Major because you've served this country. You get to Sergeant Major because you were willing to put on the uniform and put the flag of this country on your shoulder and promise to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You get to Sergeant Major because you have a track record of taking care of your people. And so if J.D. Vance is going to go after Tim Walz, I would suggest that he would take from his own military training, his own military experience. Do not start with trying to attack the fact that someone raised their hand to serve this country. They deserve our utmost respect, and we need to make sure, and especially as a veteran, you must make sure that you respect that.
We should point out that just the biography alone, he enlisted at the age of 19 and then went to college on the GI Bill. His family, after his father died, when he was 19, they were living on Social Security benefits to make ends meet, according to the biography.
That's exactly right, and you're right. And actually, I think we actually enlisted at the same age. We both joined the military at 17 years old. You know, this is a person who decided at an early age that he was going to enlist in the military and make the military part of his future, part of his life. This is a person who believes in patriotism. He believes in the goodness of the American people. He believes in the goodness of the documents that we fall under and that we served under. And so I do think it is important that, you know, if J.D. Vance wants to spend time highlighting the fact that this is a person who served over 20 years in uniform, uniform. If J.D. Vance wants to point out that this is a person who rose to the rank of Sergeant Major, one of the highest enlisted ranks that there is in the United States military. If J.D. Vance wants to point out the fact that this is a person who has led countless of other enlisted personnel in the military, I just don't know if that's necessarily the hill that J.D. wants to climb.
Let me just ask you finally whether Governor Walz is a regional pick to appeal to white men, for instance. How does he appeal to Black America?
I think the beautiful thing about Tim Walz is that he is someone who sees all of us. And that's why his pick matters so much. You know, when you're making a vice presidential selection, you're not making that because you're checking boxes. You're not making that selection because you are trying to say, well, what state can this person get me or what state can that person get me? The truth is, that's not how a vice presidential selection has been made since 1960. What we do know about Tim Walz is that he doesn't just shore up the quote-unquote blue wall that people have, the Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. But we also know that because of his track record, because of his history, because of his military history, you know, he's going to be uniquely able to speak to folks in other states too, like North Carolina and like Georgia and like Arizona and Nevada. This is a person whose unique service to this country speaks to all of us. Because, frankly, what he is offering is what all of us want. And that's just simply a fair shot. And that's what I think a Harris-Walz campaign and eventually administration is going to be able to provide to the people of this country.
Governor Wes Moore, as always, thank you very much. Good to see you, sir.